Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am JC Peretz, and I am thrilled to be here to talk about one of my favorite subjects with my man, Jason Pers. Jason, say hi to the folks.
What's up, guys? Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the gold space. Everybody focus on stocks. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world for stocks, but gold continues to move higher. Diversification is key in this market, and we diversify over here at All Star Charts. So it's gonna be a fun conversation today, JC.
Let me tell you something. The way we think around here is that we're just trying to make money. Call me selfish, but that's all I'm really interested in. I'm not trying to make money in tech stocks. I'm not trying to make money in precious metals. I'm not trying to make money in healthcare or an ARK ETF. I'm not trying to do any of those things. I'm just trying to make money. I honestly don't care where it is. I mean, we've been through enough cycles where we know that in some cycles, some things do well, others don't. Some things do better, some things do worse. It's just what it is. So instead of focusing, I am a growth stock investor. I only trade in the US. I don't trade China, whatever. What people say.
I don't like commodities.
I trade stocks, JC. Stocks have worked so much better for so many years. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And that's where we get these reversals. And that's where the opportunities come into play, is where stocks, yes, tech stocks have killed it for the last 2 years. We've been long them. They've been working awesome. Then at certain times we start to see, hey, the relative strength flowing into gold. Some of these commodity spaces, some certain sectors, energy leading the way this year out of the spider sectors. Gold miners are way above that even. So we want to be in those areas that are outperforming, and we don't care where it's at, globally or domestically in the United States. We got plenty of things to trade.
All right, guys, I hope you're paying attention to this because what he just said is so spot on. It doesn't matter what it is. And I gotta tell you something. The ability to participate in all kinds of trends around the world, whether they be in energy or in precious metals or in other parts of the world, in China and Latin America, it's never been easier, right? So there's both more opportunities than ever. It's the right time of the cycle, but it's never been easier for an investor. So if you're out there listening, you're like, I've never traded a Brazilian ETF. I've never traded, silver miners. I've never done that. Well, for a long time, it was not the best decision to do any of those things, actually. There were much better things that you could have been doing, and you most likely did, right? So good for you. We were there too, tech and semis and all these things. And the market evolves, right? There's always, they say there's always a bull market somewhere, right? I don't know how much I feel about that, because a bull market is a bull market for stocks, but in terms of an appreciation in asset prices, I think it's really important to understand that asset prices trend. We know,
yes.
Right? So instead of guessing what we might figure out one day or something, let's start with what we know. We know that asset prices trend. We also know that commodity cycles last a long time.
Yep,
never, ever in history have they lasted 2 or 3, 4 years. They last for decades at a time. And if you want to start, let's just dive right into it, guys. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that, to have this commodity super cycle, you're looking for a weaker dollar. You're looking for a weaker US dollar, and the dollar's gotten absolutely destroyed this year. And again, these cycles last a long time. Jason, do you want to tell the folks about this cycle work that you're doing here?
Yeah, so this is just an old school cycle chart. So, I learned how to trade from a great uncle of mine. So he was much older than me, and he taught me a bunch of very old school stuff that actually worked really well. The guy made a lot of money in the markets. And this is one of them. Just understanding the long-term cycles is so key. So if you're looking at the dollar, back to slide one, we just kind of see that it's rolling over here, and it looks like it's going to make a low going forward. And if you look back, go all the way through this chart, you see the dollar cycle, these huge peaks, and then it rolls over, these huge peaks, and then it rolls over. We've been in a strong dollar cycle since 2008, basically. So ever since then, you've won by owning tech stocks. You've won by doing strong dollar trades. But what about weak dollar trades? We haven't seen that environment since 2000. And that's where the trades that we're talking about today come in, when we're talking about international stocks, gold, silver, commodity sector. Like this is the time that you want to start getting long these things, because a lot of money is made in those cycles, especially on down dollar moves.
Let's skip right over to slide 4 there, if you will, Mr. Spencer, where we're looking at gold relative to the S&P 500. And over the last, 13, 14 years, really what you're looking at is the stock market outperforming precious metals. Folks, if you're listening out there and you've never experienced a bull market, if you will, in gold, a time where gold outperforms other assets, it's happened before many, many, many times, and it will happen again, right? Like what we're seeing now, this cycle will be over one day, and then there will be a down cycle, and then an up cycle after that, and that's just how the way the market works. Let me also bust a myth. Just because gold is doing well doesn't mean that that's bad for stocks.
Yes.
Just because gold is outperforming stocks doesn't mean it's bad for stocks. When gold is moving, when commodities are moving, they're not just doing well on an absolute basis, they're also outperforming their alternatives, things like stocks and bonds. And the fact that they're outperforming those areas doesn't necessarily mean that those other areas are going to go down on an absolute basis. Here we're looking at gold relative to the S&P 500. As you can see here, big decline over 13, 14 years, really ironing out that bottom there. Jason, that former resistance from 25 years ago turning into support, probably not all that surprising.
Not surprising and very bullish. And recently we hit new 52-week highs, and like you said, JC, this isn't just bad for stocks. It's just where are you looking at in the market? So sometimes you see gold start to trend, commodities start to trend. We want to look at some of those sectors that should benefit from that. Industrials being one of them, metals and mining, gold miners, energy stocks. We go down the list. There's a ton of different sectors. It's just the sectors that nobody's talked about lately. So, the big lesson from today is continue to look at these other sectors that not everybody's looking at right now. Don't be afraid to look in China. Don't be afraid to look at the energy sector that's been kind of left for dead over the last couple of years, but has one of the best setups that you'll see right now. So, continue to look at these areas. And gold, it's still a hold here, like it's still trending nicely, especially against the S&P 500. So I just think this is a great chart and a great way to kind of identify what we probably will see going forward.
Throw up the gold, throw up that gold chart there, Spencer, please. That for me, that really does it, guys. If you're watching this, I mean, look at that base. We were talking about it at the time, obviously. If you guys who've been following around for a long time know that this is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, this is the type of chart that I'm looking for. Obviously, we were talking about it at the time on the breakout. And again, the bigger the base, the higher in space. So in other words, the larger the construction of the structure of that trend, the more upside appreciation is possible. And I think that the worst thing you can do here is underestimate the power of the trend, right? Getting out too early, things like that. Just understanding that there are opportunities. And it doesn't just mean that you have to buy gold. We're going to talk right now about the different gold mining opportunities that we've had along the way and the ones that are still to come. Not to mention that when you talk about commodity super cycles, and we're going to get into it in a minute, when you talk about it starts with the gold and then the copper follows. And folks, if you've been following along, do you remember when I'm like, man, isn't it strange that copper's not following yet? Gold is ripping. When is copper going to participate? Gold is ripping. When's copper going to have a turn? Why didn't copper didn't get the memo? Right? I said all of those things. And now you're seeing copper absolutely rip to new all-time highs, right? Yes. But it took a while. We've been stocking. It's like copper's next. Copper's got to go. Gold's ripping. Silver's going. Copper's got to go. When is it going to go? Now it's going. Now it's like, hey, gold went, copper went. What's next? And we'll get into that in a minute. So let's take a step back. We talked about the dollar being a potential catalyst. So if you're wondering what's going to take commodities higher, well, there you go. It's a lot of things, but that's certainly one of them. We talk about how gold is now outperforming the stock market. Again, that doesn't mean it's bad for the stock market, but when precious metals are going, when gold is going, it doesn't just do well on its own. It outperforms the alternatives too. Stocks obviously being one of them. Gold's making new all-time highs, huge base. What about silver? What about silver? Guys, if gold's going to go, silver's got to go. Silver's gold's crazy little cousin, right? Silver's got to go. When is silver going to go? Man, it's been going.
It's been
Finally been
going.
going,
Yeah.
really going, right, Jason?
Yeah, it's been going. And then that's the thing about this that, we keep coming back to, which is the way this cycle works. We see gold move, silver starts to move, copper starts to move. The cycle started, and really silver is the next thing to really catch up. We talked about this, a year ago, JC, where you guys were calling out gold to 3,000. Now gold's above 3,000. Now we're also seeing silver hitting 35. I mean, there's no reason why this thing can't take off to 50. You remember, JC, we brought up that chart at the last portfolio accelerator, the long-term silver chart, just like this. Everybody's like, I've seen that a million times. Because people are just kind of, oh, this isn't going to happen. This isn't going to go anywhere. And it's going. And gold is telling you that silver is probably next. And 50 is a chip shot away at this point. When silver moves, it moves quickly. I definitely like the idea of silver to 50. And then above 50, I don't know where this thing goes. 100, 200, who knows where it could go.
Yeah, and you're rattling off these numbers, and again, just to reiterate, folks, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to buy silver here and ride it to 100. Think like third dimensionally. Think about the types of assets that are going to do well if silver's ripping to 100. You see what I'm saying, Jason? Like there's so many
Yes.
opportunities along the way because silver is going to 100. Think about the 10 baggers, the 30 baggers, the 40 baggers. That's really where the money is made. And I want to talk about a few of these trades, if you don't mind. Guys, this is what I mean. Gold is ripping. It doesn't just mean buy gold, set it and forget it like a rotisserie chicken. Like that's not what this is. There's opportunities along the way. This Orla mining, in this particular metal space, you're going to find a lot of Canadian stocks. They trade right in the United States, easy to do. Orla, ORLA. Look at this monster. It was setting up a base. I mean, we just talked about how much I like bases. I would buy this 100 times out of 100. So if you want to show what happened here, even if it didn't trade this way, it ripped. If you've been following along, one of the best trades that we've put on, in quite some time. I mean, this thing absolutely exploded. This has been like a quick double. But even if it didn't do that, I would buy 1,000 times out of 1,000 because the risk versus reward was so well defined, and it's in the direction of the underlying trend, right, Jason?
And that's the truth. As a trader, that's all we can do every single time. And if you do exactly what JC just said, and I love what JC just said there, if you do what he said, you'll make money. And that's almost a guarantee. Now, once again, position sizing comes into play and so on, but really doing the same thing over and over again, finding these bases, buying the breakout, setting your stop loss, and just letting it run. You'll make a lot more money that way than trying to guess every single top and try to catch every single bottom. You're not going to make money. Money's made in the meat of the move, which is usually in the middle. And we're talking about buying the space breakout. We'll see how high this thing can go.
All right, go. Let's show the SSR mining. This one is just a clean volume pocket. When I see these, this is one of my favorite patterns because there's just no volume there. Usually there's some kind of gap down. It could be on earnings or, oil spill or some kind of FDA approval situation if you're a healthcare stock. But these, even Netflix, I remember a volume pocket like this a couple of years ago that worked out really well. And what ends up happening is it just sucks up the price and that gap just gets filled. I mean, you see it again and again and again. And this was just another one of those. So in a similar situation to the Orla, where it's a beautiful base in the direction of the underlying trend, this is the same thing. It's a different pattern that we like. It's more of a volume pocket, but same idea. We're gold moving like this and silver doing what it's doing helps us identify which pond to go fishing in to look for opportunities like this.
Yes, and this is a great setup. Sam found this setup, looking at exactly what you're talking about. We see a volume pocket, we get this huge move, and then we just ride the trend. I mean, this thing has moved so nicely, and it's been another huge winner for us at Gold Rush. So, I mean, we just have these over and over again because guess what? We're riding a bull market. Like if you're riding tech stocks, if the S&P 500 is moving higher and it's mainly tech, you can basically spin around, throw a dart at big tech names, and you'll probably make money. Right now, we're looking at the same thing in the gold space. So we're finding a ton of great trades. There's all types of things to find, and we're really nailing it here. On SSRM was a great one. Orla, I mean, it's endless. We have tons of winners at this point.
So throw up the Solaris, another great example, right? A great example of another opportunity that we're finding in a different type of pattern, but again, in the right direction of the trend. That's really what this is about. In a commodity super cycle, you're not buying the CRB index and just letting it go. Like you're not literally buying gold and shorting the S&P 500 against that. Like that's not how we want to execute. The way we want to execute is by identifying the major trend and then thinking about what are the best opportunities? What types of companies, what types of assets are going to benefit the most in that particular environment? Look at Solaris, SLSR. This is one of those examples where it's both gold and copper, right? You've got a few of those. Buenaventura is another one of those. But in this case, you're breaking a downtrend, right? After a nice little shakeout. Love a good shakeout, a nice retest of those COVID lows, and off to the races we go, and another winner. But again, not because this particular pattern is like this magic pattern. We're just fishing in the right pond, right? Look at the Nova Gold NG. This one's an Alaskan gold mining stock. This one in particular hasn't quite worked out yet, but the risk versus reward is very well defined, which is what we're trying to do, right? Identify the direction of the primary trend, look for the types of opportunities they're going to benefit, and then manage risk accordingly. So I know we've got Sam in the house. Are we going to bring in Sam?
Yeah, let's bring Sam in.
And there he is, Mr. Sam. How are you, my friend?
Hey guys, what's up? This is a great video so far.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Talk to me about the commodity super cycle and the types of opportunities that you're seeing out there.
Yeah, I think you are underselling the opportunity here. You know, I'm looking at the GDX up over 30% so far this year. You know, people are talking all about China and this international rotation, but China is only up 20% so far this year. It's a laggard relative to what we're trading here in the mining space. And you guys have gone over some of the examples we've traded so far this year. Like the Orla has been absolutely amazing. It's flagging right now. I think that one has more left in the tank. I think this is just getting started.
Talk to me about the Aberdeen ETF, the GLTR.
Yeah, this is a really interesting opportunity. So we outlined this one back in late January. This one isn't really for the junkie traders like myself. But if you're someone like a financial advisor, there's plenty of opportunity in this space too. You know, you don't need to trade the GDX. There's opportunities like the GLTR, and this holds silver, gold, palladium, and platinum. So it's not a mining play, but it's a different way to express a bullish thesis on the space. Rather than just buying gold and sitting it and forgetting it, you can buy this. And the risk reward could not be more clear here. We were buying a massive base like gold did a year ago. This one is just now catching up to gold. And if you go to the next slide, you can see how this has worked out so far for us. It hasn't been a huge winner, but again, if this is what you're looking for as a financial advisor or somebody like that, this has been a home run.
And it's got over $1 billion in assets, by the way. So it's not little.
Yep,
for sure.
It's about diversification. You know, if you can kind of come in and find you have a portfolio, and let's say your long-term portfolio retirement for some of you guys, you've got a bunch of stocks in there, you got a bunch of bonds. This is a way to diversify away from some of those things, create more returns in your portfolio. And as you know, JC, that's the way to real wealth, is continue to diversify and find uncorrelated sources that during times like this are doing very well when the market's kind of under some pressure.
It's the holy grail, right?
I wanted to talk about one more chart here. This is the copper and the energy stocks, if you could throw that up. So what do we know, folks? We know that gold broke out of a monster base and is making new all-time highs, and precious metal stocks have absolutely been ripping. We know that silver was not participating in that gold rally, and we were wondering and questioning, when that was going to begin. And it began, and has continued to follow through. As we know, hitting the highest level since October today, right?
Yes.
Then copper. When's copper going to go? Gold's going. When's copper going to go? Copper's making new all-time highs. And then when you overlay a chart of the S&P energy sector. So this is the XLE, which represents the large cap oil and gas stocks in America. Think Exxon, think Chevron, think the big ones. Notice how that sector index fund and copper dance together. They diverge slightly for some time, but they revert and they get back to dancing together. With gold making all-time highs, silver following through, copper making new all-time highs. Are you here to tell me that energy stocks are not going to participate? That energy stocks are not going to be a new leader? That's the bet that you want to make? Jason, what's the bet here?
The bet is to buy, for me, it's simple. I definitely like energy on an all-time high, or not an all-time high, energy at a new high, new 52-week high is definitely a buy here. Pretty easy to do here. For me, and also like looking at calls in this. This is a very tight coil. You can make a bunch of money in call options. However you trade, there's a bunch of opportunities here. Also, globally, energy stocks are looking pretty good. And there's a bunch of individual stocks, whether you're in the United States, Canada, Mexico, that look pretty good. South America also looks good. So, I mean, there's a lot of areas to buy here in this sector. So I really do like the idea of owning energy here. I think the way it's kind of coiled up, it's just screaming call options. But we'll keep that to our subscribers. But this is a great setup here. I love this.
For sure. And you show the XLE here, JC, but this is really masking a lot of the strength that we're seeing under the surface. In our commodities weekly column that we publish each Friday, I think these last several weeks, we've outlined some energy trades that have been breaking out to new 52-week highs or all-time highs in some cases. And I have a feeling we're going to be outlining another one tomorrow for our subscribers. So these are trades you don't want to miss. And I think it's worth mentioning too that these were some of the hottest stocks coming off the lows in 2020.
Yep,
10 baggers in a lot of cases.
No question. I don't want to go down the Elliott wave path, but that first wave one and the consolidation we've seen is just textbook for that next leg higher. Folks, what Sam is talking about is the gold rush. This is a membership at All Star Charts for people who are interested in all things metals and commodities in general. On Fridays when the COT report comes out, you're going to receive exactly what 3-4 takeaways, right? It's a mess what the government reports, but what do we need to know from that report that gets published on Fridays at the Gold Report, at the Gold Rush? And of course, it's not just precious metals that are being discussed in the Commitment of Traders report. It's all of the commodities, including energy. And then on Mondays, if you want to get into exactly what members of All-Star Charts Gold Rush, which, as you can see here, Spencer has a nice little checkout page where membership on an annual basis is $12.99. We're giving it to you today for $5.99, completely risk-free. Sam, Jason, you want to tell the folks what they get?
Yeah, so, Sam, you can go through the first of the week, and then I'll just kind of add in there.
Yeah, so each Monday we publish the Gold Rush, which is covering all things precious metals. Sometimes we're talking about the short interest in silver making new all-time highs. Sometimes we're talking about platinum coiling up nice and tight. And with each one of these reports, we're outlining our favorite trade for the week. So it's not just talking about the futures contracts, but we're also covering miners every single week.
Yeah, and we're also going over it in videos, and we're going down different paths to kind of figure out what the macro basis is for these trades. And then we move into every week, just like JC said, and we talk about all the different commodities, you name it, natural gas, whether it's precious metals, energy, softs. We talk about agricultural commodities and all the stocks. And this is the other important part a lot of people miss. We talk about the stocks you can buy to take advantage of these trades. And that's where the real returns are. And that's very significant. So, definitely come over the Gold Rush, hang out with Sam and I. We've got all types of good information for you guys.
Listen, Gold Rush was something that we did as a part of the premium membership of All Star Charts. If you want to show as a member of All Star Charts, of course, you get all things Gold Rush. Of course, you get all things silver, platinum, and the commodities on Fridays, right? So if that's all that you're interested is in the commodities, then I think Gold Rush is for you. But if you're interested in everything else, the same analysis that we're doing in metals and commodities, we're doing across the stock market in every single sector at All Star Charts. So you're getting the small cap trades, you're getting the mid cap trades, you're getting the large cap trades. growth stocks, the dividend stocks, which are our young aristocrats, and of course our freshly squeezed and our Hall of Famers, which are the mega cap names. So we cover the full gambit. You know, over the years, we have gone out of our way to make sure that we have a process in place so we don't miss something. And that's what All Star Charts research is. Over many years, we basically just filled in all of the gaps. You know, earlier in my career, I would be focused on large cap stocks and I would miss a small cap that would rally, 300, 400%. I'm like, how did I miss that? Because we didn't have a process in place to catch those trades. You have these huge growth stocks in Israel or a semiconductor from Silicon Valley, and it just wasn't on my radar and I missed a trade. We created the 2 to 100 club that's specifically designed to find those types of stocks. Companies that are raising their dividends every single year. We didn't get those names on our radar. So we created a process that does that. So that's what All-Star Charts research is. Covers the full gamut, including gold, silver, platinum, the rotation that I believe, and we all here on this call believe is happening in energy as well. And I think the opportunities are going to continue to come. They're going to be able to come in commodities. And I think in the stock market as well. I think there are opportunities across the board, both long and short. That's the beauty of the market. There's always a new opportunity. And because we're looking everywhere, always, we're going to help you find them. We're going to bring them to you. So that's at All-Star Charts Premium Research, $17.95 for the year. Hell of a deal. If you want to show the risk-free offer, that's terrific. So guys, this is risk-free. We talk about here at All-Star Charts about, how we're always managing risk. What's the best risk versus reward? I don't want to be in that because it's hard for me to manage risk, right? Things like that. That's how we talk around here. So think about a premium membership to All-Star Charts for $17.95, or if you're just interested in the gold rush and the commodities, you're getting that for $5.99 for the entire year. But think about the risk versus reward. What's the risk? The risk is zero. Because in the first 30 days, if you decide that for whatever reason, this isn't for you, it's not what you thought it was, it's just for whatever reason, it's not for you, no questions asked, full refund, no problem at all. That's what we love around here because, we only work with the people that we think that we can help. And if we can't help you, that's cool. We can still be friends. I'll meet you at the bar, right? It's all good, but you have nothing to lose. And think about what you have to gain. One trade pays for the lifetime of the subscription, right? So the risk versus reward, as far as somebody who analyzes risk versus rewards all day, every day, this is a pretty good one. What do you think, Jay?
No, I love it. And I think this is a great offer. And we hope to see you guys. We have a lot of great clients that write us, different things. So, if you are a member, you get to ask me and Sam questions and how we can help you. So that's a pretty great 30-day risk-free offer if I've ever seen one.
No, I appreciate it. If you want to throw up the Gold Rush slide there, so members of All-Star Charts Gold Rush get all of the commodity trades, anything that has to do with gold, precious metals, energy across the board, rare earth metals included. Of course, think about the commodities and the bond reports that are being put out. These are going to get ideas and trends on your radar that weren't already there. I promise, because it happens to me, and I'm already boots on the ground looking at all these things, and these reports bring things to my attention that weren't already there. And of course, you get access to our proprietary rangefinder software that helps you track the trades, right? You'll get the full dashboard of which trades are a go, where the price currently is in real time relative to the ideal entry point and the ultimate target. So you'll be able to sort that any way that you'd like, whether you want to sort by biggest movers of the day or best risk versus reward, which is one of the things that I like to use it for. Everything is right there in the rangefinder. And then if you're interested in everything that we have to do here at All-Star Charts and you want to go to that slide for $17.95, you can go ahead and have that. We did have a question. Somebody made a comment about potash being a good play as well. Names like potash are in that agricultural universe that you get as a member of the All-Star Charts Gold Rush. And then the other question is, do you buy these names in taxable or non-taxable accounts? That's a great question. I've got my answer, but Jason, do you want to give yours?
I mean, my answer is either one. You could buy them in either one. The only time I guess you'd really wouldn't want to do something in a non-taxable is if it's something that's really going to wreck your account. These are just names that you could go in anybody's portfolio. So, you know, these are we have great picks here. We're talking about options when I'm talking about something to leverage your account too much. So, you know, we're not buying options there. We're not selling options on these agricultural names. We're just picking out great picks.
Yeah.
And that's how you make money. So I think either one works. And you can use more leverage in your taxable account, and you could use less leverage in your non-taxable account if you want to, however you trade.
Yep, that's exactly right. You know, great strategy. Straz is always talking about this one where, you know, you're buying the stock for the IRA, or you're buying the ETF for the IRA, and then you're buying the call option in the taxable account, right?
Yes, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
there's all different ways to do it. It really comes down to what your specific objectives are. And for someone like Straza, and even for me, I do that where, you know, you'll do the common stock or the ETF and the IRA, and then you'll, you know, speculate and be a little bit more aggressive with leverage in the taxable account. You know, that's a great way to think about it. But again, it really comes down to who you are and what your objectives are. Not everybody is in their late 30s or early 40s and trying to do a combination of both things. We're talking, you know, some of you are financial advisors. You're doing this professionally. Some only trade options, some only trade stock, some only trade ETFs, right? But having the full package of All-Star Charts Gold Rush Research, or if you want the whole All-Star Charts Premium, of course, where you're going to get is you're going to get it all. You're going to get the commodity analysis. You're going to get the ETF analysis. You're going to get the individual ideas, stock ideas, right? Because it's that top-down approach. And that's how we like to think about it here at All-Star Charts. And I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you being here. You could be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us. That means a lot. Jason Pers, thank you so much, my friend, for taking the time
to join
us today.
This was great. And I absolutely love talking gold. I just think silver is a great play. I love the miners. So we love bringing this information to you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, no question. This is fun. Mr. Sam, thank you for being here as well. Spencer, on the 1 and 2s. Guys, I'm JC Peretz, founder and CEO of All-Star Charts Research. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you inside Gold Rush or at ASE. Go in there, log in, email us, contact us, say what's up.